This week on Forward.
If you get this right, everything kind of flows a lot easier. Any cause, whether it's climate or social or
education, you freaking name it.
War, all of these other things can get rationally kind of like figured out a lot better. And if you don't figure it out, everything else is almost like a waste of money, you know? So
yes,
instead of just instead of trying to convince people of this, and instead of trying to put my money into some other people who are trying to do this, just go all in. And I'm in it, doing it.
It is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the podcast serial entrepreneur, one of the most elevated humans I know. You'll see what I mean in a minute. The founder of Good Party, Farhad Mohit. Welcome, Farhad.
Thank you, Andrew, for having me on the podcast. It's an honor to be here.
Holy cow! What a freaking story you have. So I'm just going to give people a quick and dirty, and then dig in a little bit. But you're an incredibly successful tech entrepreneur. You started companies like BizRate and Shopzilla and Flipagram that became better known as TikTok, sort of. So you started kind of like a precursor to TikTok. You concluded that American democracy is now working so hot. And it sounds like our mutual friend Lawrence Lessig might even have been a small part of that journey 11 years ago and started Good Party, which, just to bring the end to the beginning, is not an actual party. So first, let's tell people what is Good Party and what are you working on right now?
Well, yeah, we've been, the initial versions of Good Party are not the one that we're working on today, just to be clear. But and yes, I have had the good fortune of being involved in a lot of technology startups. The latest one, Flipagram, that is now TikTok, used by billions of people. And the idea behind Good Party was that if something is going to the problem we're trying to solve is money in politics, which has corrupted politics, and that's the intersection with Lawrence Lessig as well. Obviously he wrote The Republic Lost, and he's had so many great talks about the problem of the duopoly and the money that's pouring in there, and all of our elected officials being ears, eyes, nose, throat to the money, because that's what's going to get them reelected. So I thought to myself, what can I do to solve this problem? Because this is the issue one, the main issue that everything else comes out from. Good Party is my attempt at using the same technological skills and entrepreneurial kind of spirit to use technology as a lever to help level the playing field and allow ordinary people, anyone who needs to raise their hand, to be able to run and win and serve as a representative of others. And so the question of how to do that, it's basically what Good Party is trying to answer. And our current answer is a set of tools that make, it's like a AI-based campaign management suite of tools that help you do everything from running, figuring out, exploring what offices are available to run for, writing a bio, writing, marketing releases and press releases, figuring out what your positioning should be. And then now there's door knocking pieces, and every piece of the puzzle we are automating and helping people have and basically get free for free. We're also taking all the voter data and everything else. So it's a set of tools that allow everybody to run and win, hopefully win and be able to serve their constituencies. And then we're pulling in volunteers and other people to create a movement around that as well, to help these the actual mechanics of a campaign.
So let me get this straight. If I'm running for anything from school board all the way up to some mega race, you're going to give me cutting edge technology for free?
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you think about it, like just think about before services like Flipagram or TikTok or Musical.ly were there. If you wanted to create a video about something, it would take a lot of work. You need all kinds of equipment and setup, and you need, the Chiron, so overlay text, and you need music rights, and you need an attorney and all this. We took all of that, abstracted away, so anybody could point the camera at themselves and make a video. In the similar sense, right now, if you want to run for office, you almost have to, by default, pick one of the two parties. You have to get into their party infrastructure. You have to get data from the vendors that they work with. You have to raise a ton of money for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a huge barrier to entry. If you want to do it as an independent, you have the barrier of like not knowing where to start, even how to work this. And we're doing the exact same thing with it with the musical video object. In the sense, we're making the whole workflow something any ordinary person can step into, and for free, basically go through the process and do all the pieces of the pie. Of course, there still is a lot of legwork. Getting elected to office means you have to get out there and become known and do things. But the tasks and each individual component can be automated and helped, and that's what Good Parties do.
So, I love this, and in many ways, you are the tech partner to what we're building at Forward. And people who listen to me know why I got into this, which is I don't think the two-party system is going to deliver solutions, and that the incentives are corrupt and perverse in various ways, even for well-meaning folks. Now, I came to this conclusion after my presidential run in 2020, after reading books by Catherine Gale and Ezra Klein and Michael Porter and Lawrence Lessig. But it sounds like you got to this a little sooner. Can you talk about your journey? Like, when did this hit your radar? And why are you so wholesome that you care about trying to solve the world's problems? Because and to make it clear to folks, Good Party is very much a feel-good philanthropic endeavor. It's not. Let's just say, if it were a business, it would be the dumbest business in the world.
Yeah, it's open source free software is not the way to build a great business. Your question is an interesting one. Well, I'm an entrepreneur, so as an entrepreneur, you kind of look in the market, whatever market it is, you just see opportunities to do something, and then the question is, are you going to do it, or is someone else going to do it? And every entrepreneur has this notion of like ideas that are out there that are interesting and important. As soon as Citizens United happened, which is the landmark ruling that companies are people too, and they get to have a freedom of speech and spend as much money as they want. The writing for me was on the wall that there's a problem that's going to keep getting worse and worse. And this was like 2011. And I've been thinking about it. I was, of course, building these companies and things like that. And what could the solution be, and my original encounter with Lawrence Lessig in TED 2013, the idea was maybe we can raise a ton of money and have a third party. It turned out that people with money were not that interested in giving it away, and they kind of like the rules. The rules are already set for money, and so that idea wasn't exactly the right one. For me, as I was fortunate enough to go through this journey with Flipagram, really the fastest growing app of all time, 300 million users in a couple of years, I realized that technology, especially bottom up technology, can really be an incredible lever. And I had, so I came out of that thinking, okay, what am I going to do next? And when I was thinking about what am I going to do next, I took stock of my life. I'd already had a few entrepreneurial commercial successes. I really thought to myself, I need to be done hunting and gathering money from, there's no point in that. I'm one of these black t-shirt type people. I'm not interested in owning large yachts or things like that. So what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I looked at my own life. I have kids. I'm an immigrant to this country. I'm an Iranian American. So contrary to popular belief, immigrants who chose to come to America choose it for the freedom and democracy is a huge part of it, especially from somebody coming from my part of the world. And so looking at America as a first generation immigrant and looking at we not living up to those ideals, and especially our government not really being a democracy that looks at its people and tries to serve them, really bothers me. So I'm an immigrant. I like to disrupt stuff. Creative disruption is my field. I use technology as a lever, and here I was suddenly with this exit for Flipagram to ByteDance that became TikTok with a lot of resources that I didn't need. And it seemed like technology and the resources, like money, you can't do this work for profit, as you said. You can't take money out of politics, try to make money, because you're going to go to the same well. So I had these resources that I'm like, I should be putting to some use. And so the combination therein said, even though I'm not a political person, I hate politics, I need to be doing this work. And I started building, a small team of people who knew more about politics than I do and didn't know as much about technology. And now we've built a really nice group of about 30 people who are working on this day and night. All of us super passionate. Everybody at Good Party knows that they could be doing something else commercially, but we believe this is the number one thing that we could be solving, because whatever we're passionate about, whatever cause it is, it's can be hurt or helped by rules and government that cares about what people's needs are. And I think increasingly that's going to become important as AI and robotics come in and the disruption that they're going to be bringing. So this is the only thing I could be working on, in my sort of post-commercial life that was like sort of impactful and also takes all the things that I have uniquely I can contribute to the game here. So I have to do it.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow and subscribe. Farhad, I tell a joke about Ford. We know we're on the right track because there's no money in it. and I liken it to local journalism. It's like everyone likes it, but it's hard to make money in it. So you talk about how you and Lawrence Lessig, who I'm a huge admirer and fan of, were co-conspirators in 2013 at TED, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And then your thought was, hey, let's start a third party, which has now morphed into the technology tools that comprise Good Party. And then Lawrence Lessig's plan was, hey, how about I run for president on a reform platform? Which, by the way, I was a fan of and supported. Lawrence Lessig's Mayday PAC. I forget. I think I might have sent in $500 or something like that. How much fun was it for you to see Lawrence's run?
I think, well, I mean, I predated that. At TED, he was speaking of his seminal talk was Lesterland, the one about the percentage of people, Lesters, at 1.14% of the population, who are the same percentage as the number of people who give max donations in political campaigns. And those are the only people that matter, and how our democracy is messed up if only Lesters could vote. That was at his time. His idea was this: we have to get money out of politics, and campaign finance reform is the way to do it. Mine was that we need to break the duopoly, and and a third party can do that with big money. We were both wrong, or right. I was right that he's wrong, and he's right that I was wrong. The right approach is, I think you do need third parties and third candidates running, but I think you need to break the duopoly with tools and tech, and from the bottom up, not from the top down. So I wasn't that interested in his presidential run, and I'm sort of worried about all the third-party presidential runs in general, because if they fall short, what they do is they completely get the hopes up of usually younger generation of people who are naive enough to believe that it's possible. And then, like myself with Perot broke my heart in 1992, and I'd never have voted for a presidential election again. And that's just that's a reality. And I think the important work that has not been possible before, really stuff like Good Party and tools like this, is to democratize the process of running for an office and get it into the hands of the people. So the local races, you're the one who actually pointed this out to me. There's 500,000 local races. Yep. In America, about 200,000 in this year, and then if over a 4-year period, really that 500,000, and 70% of those races are uncontested. which means there's 350,000 uncontested races. The third party candidate doesn't even have to split the vote.
No.
They have to be an alternative to whatever established player is being kind of put up by one or the other party. So that is where the game will be changed. If we can start we just need 500,000 Americans raise their hands, and a good chunk of them go in there with tools like this and win elections. And now from the bottom up, these are the people who are then going to go up to state and federal races and eventually the presidency. And even if the president gets elected as an independent, they will need independent representatives of the people all the way down in Congress and other places so that they can enact things and they're not going to get just completely stonewalled. So I'm not a big fan of, starting at the top anymore. You kind of recalibrated my brain, and I think the hard work begins and ends at the bottom. If we can get that, we will get somewhere. If we can't, we're going to be in trouble.
The opportunity is certainly at the local level. I had a guy named Greg Orman on the podcast recently, and he said, I'm not going to support anyone who's running for office on the two major parties. If you're running as an independent, then call me and I might donate and support. Is that true of Good Party too? If I'm running for office and I'm running as a Democrat or Republican, are Good Party's tools not for me, and are Good Party's tools intended solely for independents?
Very good question. Yes, the only thing you required to be a Good Party, to use our tools, is that you take our pledge that says you're independent of the two-party system, which means you're not going to join the Republicans or Democrats and spend 70% or more of your time running, fundraising campaigns for them. You have to be people powered, which means the money you get, majority of it has to come from living people, not the machine, and lobbyists and big money. And you have to be anti-corruption, which means that when you get elected, you agree to be transparent and accountable to your folks, to your constituency, with the tools and things that we will provide. So with these three, then you just need a minimum standard of civility, because we want to make sure that we have our representatives be civil servants. So we don't want people picking on protected groups or anyone else like that. Outside of that, we are open to all comers if you can make that pledge. So yes, if you're a Republican or Democrat, it's a no. If you're a Republican or Democrat, you're not going to be allowed onto our thing, because you can have all of the Republican or Democrat positions. You just cannot be a Republican or Democrat, because then you're distracted by that machine's agenda and not serving your people. As you know, politicians spend upwards of 70% of their time just dialing for dollars, and that we don't believe is necessary with the tools that we're creating, and we don't want to create a system. We just think we can go completely separate from it. Be very clear that any Good Party certified candidates are independent. You can look what their positions and issues are. They can be 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 for blue or for red, or some mishmash in between of things that a local constituency wants, and they're going to be people powered, and they're going to be anti-corruption. So you can know that they're a representative of the people. That's what we want.
This podcast is sponsored by Helix Sleep. I've always been a mattress guy because I figured if I'm going to do something for up to 8 hours, maybe I should do it right. And Helix Sleep lets you do it right by sending you one of 20 unique mattresses that's tailored for you. I took the Helix Sleep quiz, takes only a couple minutes, and I was matched with a Helix Dawn mattress because I wanted something that felt firm, and I sleep on my back. That mattress is exactly what I needed, but strangely enough, my kids now seek out that mattress in the house and want to sleep on it, even though I did not order it with them in mind. If you have a high quality mattress, it is a game changer, a huge difference maker. Don't take my word for it. Helix has been awarded the #1 mattress picked by GQ and Wired magazine. It is even recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. Helix is offering up to 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/yang. That's helixsleep.com/yang. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. You mentioned in the opening that you immigrated to this country from Iran. You attended college in Pennsylvania and the rest of it after hanging out in LA. So, did you immigrate to California, and how old were you when you came over from Iran?
No, I left from Iran right before the Islamic Revolution in 1978. We went to Europe, to France actually first. We didn't. I went for a 2 week trip. The cliche of like, going for a 2 week trip to wait until everything settles down, and then it never settled down in a way that our family could return. So we moved from France to England for a couple of years, and then to Northern California is where I landed in America, in the Bay Area, and then moved down to Los Angeles in 1984. Completed my high school in Palos Verdes High School in Los Angeles, and then went to UCLA for undergrad. And it was only for grad school that I went to UPenn for a couple of years, and then back to Los Angeles. I've always been in my majority of my life. I've been in Los Angeles.
So you're a West Coast product. I saw you at TED, where you're a regular. You're also, I want to say, you're either a patron or a board member of Burning Man, which
Both.
a bunch of our mutual friends head to. It's one reason why I think of you as somewhat spiritual, honestly.
Well, Iranians in general are born with sort of the with the mysticism, Iranian mysticism, Rumi, Hafez Ferdowsi running through our blood. The wow of now is really present in everything that Iranians do in some ways, and but I'm Iranian American, and I think the closest place to an idyllic Iranian American place for me, the place that makes me proud to be American, I should say, freedom, is Burning Man. Burning Man is an incredibly interesting social experiment. I am on the board of Burning Man, of course, so I've drank the Kool-Aid and whatever else was offered. But it is an incredibly interesting place where a lot of society's rules are changed, and for that week at least, you get this magical experience of being with all kinds of different people and in a very joyful, creative, and accepting kind of a space. It's a novel experience if anybody hasn't had it, and I think I joke that it allows me to be more Iranian there, because desert hospitality, or hospitality in general, is a very Iranian thing. It's a cultural trait, and everyone in the desert over there is trying to be hospitable. They're gifting, and it's a gifting economy and everything else. And so I joke that we all go there to try to be more Iranian.
I mean, yeah, it is a very idyllic, some would say somewhat utopian energy at Burning Man. I was with a technologist who said something that was music to my ears, and I feel like you instinctively uh, understood this years ago before anyone else. And you and I walk around trying to explain this to people. But he said to me, "Hey, I figured out that democracy reform, or trying to get the American government to function better, is the highest leverage activity that we can undertake." And this is a person with some money. And so he said, "I've been trying to figure out how to donate this money in a way that's positive. And I've figured out that the best thing I can do is try and get the government working again." And one example I use for people, I started an organization called Humanity Forward that's lobbying for various anti-poverty measures. And one of the things that they got out of the House at the beginning of this year is a partial revival of the enhanced child tax credit that would lift 500,000 American kids out of poverty. Let's call the headline number on this something like $78 billion a year that would go to
Wow.
families. It would help lift a couple million kids. It wouldn't lift them all the way out of poverty, but it would improve their circumstances. And so the thesis is like, look, if you can spend a few $1 million on increasing the chances of unlocking $78 billion that would go to poor kids and families, I mean, that's like the greatest ROI ever. I mean, I have nothing wrong. I have nothing against someone just turning around and giving a few $1 million to poor kids. I mean, that's good. But this technologist said, what I figured out is that the highest leverage thing we can do, the highest impact thing we can do, is democracy reform, structural reform, government reform. So you, I think, instinctively understood this years ago. And I feel like you and I know some positive, well intended people who have not figured that out. And I'm curious about your experience this last number of years trying to bring them to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped trying to bring people to the point. I actually thought I realized that it's one thing to invest your money into something, but it's another as an entrepreneur to actually put your time in. So I actively made the decision for myself that I'm actually in a place that I can fund things, but it's the first time that I don't have to go get venture capital money to build something. Whenever you do, every business that I've built before had that, and that's a sort of a deal with the devil. Once you make that deal, you gotta have an ROI, and you gotta make money, return, etc. On it. And so in this particular case, I thought it's not because it's such an important area, and it is issue one, as Larry Lessig says. If you don't if you get this right, everything kind of flows a lot easier. Any cause, whether it's climate or
Yeah,
social or
education, you freaking name
education,
it.
war,
Yeah,
all of
totally.
these other things can get rationally kind of like figured out a lot better. And if you don't figure it out, everything else is almost like a waste of money. So
Yes.
instead of just instead of trying to convince people of this, and instead of trying to put my money into some other people who are trying to do this, just go all in. And I'm in it, doing it. And as a result, I literally I'm talking to other people who are incredibly gifted and can have a lot of choices. And they're coming and saying, this sings to me, this mission sings to me. And I'm like, okay, well, if it does to me as well. I'm fortunate in that I'm underwriting this whole operation. I'm working for free. You may not be in the same position, but what's the least I have to pay you to be on this mission? Because we want the people who want to be on this mission. And yeah, I get it. You can be doing something else. I could be doing something else too. I just have to stop, and I make more money by not doing this. So it's not about that. So I feel what I would say to your technologist friend who is putting his money in places. I would say, well, put your time and energy. You're a priceless asset. You know how to build these things. You need your time and energy in this space as much as your money. Money is one thing, but the talent that is required to also build these things the right way. A lot of the things that we're doing are not rocket science. In fact, in the commercial space, they're not even state of the art, but they're good enough that they're revolutionizing I got some innovators award a couple of years ago for innovation in the reform space or for the independent movement. I was like, I haven't even done anything. Like, this is how the state of innovation in the reform movement is, that even without having done anything, we're just getting awards to people that have not accomplished anything. But we are now building fantastic technology. We are pulling people in, and there is a mass of people now that would come in here and they say, wow, Good Party, amazing people. Like, this guy was leading HoloLens, and now he's leading design a thing, and this guy's doing this, and this guy's doing that. It's an amazing kind of group of people that have come together who are working on this. And I feel like that is the best use, money and energy together in the right direction. And it feels good waking up every day and working on this problem. It's one that you're doing something.
Hey all, if you know me, you know I'm not that handy in the kitchen, and I have become a huge believer and booster of Factor. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating a joy. It's so fast. You just pop that thing 2 minutes later, and you are eating a restaurant-quality, healthy meal, making you feel excellent about yourself. My favorite is the turkey chili with zucchini, and there is so much more to choose from. You never get tired of it. It fits any budget. It's fast, healthy. It is going to be the new Factor in your life. Yes, I'm a fan. Head to factormeals.com/yang50 and use code yang50 to get 50% off your first box and 2 free wellness shots per box while subscription is active. That's code yang50 at factormeals.com/yang50 to get 50% off your first box. Get Factor today. It's going to change the way you eat. Yeah, what you're doing is so important, but also has such immense potential. In part because, believe it or not, the tech tools that the two major parties are using are not that great. You know what I mean? Like
No,
there are folks. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
And you and I were just talking about how that it's hard to find vendors in this space who are willing to work with independent candidates. You have Team Blue and Team Red, and they both will blackball you, frankly, if you stray from their orthodoxy. It's, I mean, the duopoly is enforced by really um, uh, sort of underhanded economic measures, where really they just try and take livelihoods away. They're like, hey, if you work with these guys, then you'll never work in this town again, or we'll never send you business again. And so there are massive opportunities because you're already, in my opinion, developing better tools than are being utilized by major party candidates right now.
It's true, and I think, but a lot of the things that we are building. Well, first of all, just let's look at some of this. The unit economics don't work for independents on these some of
Yeah.
these things as well. So, for instance, you need to buy data, and if whether the data provider provides it or not, they're going to charge you tens of thousands of dollars for a small slice of data. One of the things we just did was, okay, we bought the entire database and we're improving it left and right. I mean, I've built tons of data operations, and then we're allowing people to access it for the marginal cost of providing it, which is almost nothing. And so now, a local person running for a local race has the number of votes they need. Which doors do they need to knock? How many doors should they knock? What script should they run when they want to run that? They want to write a bio. How should they? Chaz the fireman. Here's a good example. Chaz the fireman wants to run. Chaz is a great service to his community. He runs into burning buildings and saves people, but he doesn't know how to write a bio necessarily that is going to be exciting. So our tool helps them generate a bio. It's just simple AI generation stuff, writes a bio. He doesn't know what his tagline should be. Our tool suggests, get fired up to vote again. He's like, oh, I like that. And he needs to write a press release. It kind of takes the issues that he has and his background and writes a press release that he can then approve. He doesn't need to get a marketing person. So he presses send and that's a press release. He needs to do social media and he needs to post things. He needs to figure out, to what date to get on the ballot. So we tell him the date and we tell him how many signatures he needs to get on a ballot. And so he goes and gets those signatures. He says, okay, I did that. You did that. That means out of the 1,000 votes you need to win for city council, you get 250 of them are going to be just by getting on the ballot. Now you need 750 more. In order to do that, what are you going to do? Text message? You want a door knock? You're going to need to knock 3,000 doors in order to get 500 or 700 people to say yes. Okay, so which 700 doors? It walks them through which, looking at the voter data, these are the best 3,000 doors to knock. Here's a proposed script based on what you had. You can run through the script. If the script works, we'll tell you how to do it better, to keep doing it. If it doesn't work, we'll improve it and see if it works better for your volunteers or for yourself. So it's a bunch of really simple automations, really, and dates and time and sort of coordination things that are not rocket science, but nobody's built that, and certainly nobody's making it available in a way that every independent kind of person has access to it and can try it all for free and and participate in the whole scale, marginal cost way. In the pieces they want. For instance, getting texting at wholesale prices, getting lawn signs. That's the next thing. Like, how do you make a lawn sign if you're Chaz the fireman? He doesn't know how to make a lawn sign, but we're going to make it so he can push a button and it takes his slogan and everything else and puts it on a lawn sign and gives it to him at a cost, because we're not trying to make a profit here, and none of this is available to independent candidates and wouldn't be available even if it's some of it is structurally not available, like you said, like the red team will not give it to you or the blue team will not give it to you. But even if they do, they're trying to make money on it, so you're not their customer because you're running a local race and they want thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars to work with you. We're just automating the whole stack. And I think as we do that, and then what the next step that is required is we need candidates. We're scouring literally anyone who's filing for independent. we're finding them and we're calling them and saying, hey, you're running into battle kind of naked. You want some tools? You want some armor? You want some weapons? Here's what we got,
we're your wholesome free arms dealer who just trying to give it to you.
Tools to change the rules.
Yeah, to make the world a better place. So people can see why I love you and Good Party so much. And Forward and Good Party are working together hand in hand. If anyone watching this or listening to this is running for office, run, don't walk to Good Party's website and check out their tools. They're just designed to make you more effective and efficient and sophisticated. And you can just listen to Farhad and realize, you know who Farhad is? He's the feel-good, enlightened immigrant technologist who's figured out that that the status quo is not going to deliver, and that it's going to be up to us to take the future into our own hands. And Farhad has built the future so many times. He was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I can bankroll it myself. I'm going to enlist techies who want the same things, build these tools. Farhad, one thing I do envy about you, I envy several things about you, but one is when you said, hey, my job isn't necessarily to drag other techies to this, except to build the tools. Like I can bankroll this myself. I mean, my job, Andrew's job, is to run around and raise money and do other things. So
I don't envy you. I used to do that.
Yeah. I'm like, good for you, Farhad. Like, I mean, you're like actually building the wherewithal. For me though, one of the things I do need to do is I need to send more candidates your way. And Forward does show up. We have some lovely, awesome, really uplifting candidates running in various races.
Absolutely.
And we're going to get you more and more users, clients, candidates in the days to come, including more Chaz, the firefighter types. I think that there are all sorts of military veterans, firefighters, educators. There's a guy named Cameron Shroy who is running in Pennsylvania. He's literally a high school civics teacher, man. So if there's anyone out there who's a high school civics teacher, it's time to show your students what you can do.
I think if it's a slightly different take on that is if you believe that power corrupts, which a lot of people believe, I think, and that by definition doesn't corrupt immediately, it corrupts over time, and that's sort of the knock against the gerontocracy or the old, all the old people in Congress. It's not just that they're old; it's that they've been doing this for so long, and they've kind of they're in that system. Then if you believe those things, then you yourself or someone you trust, you have to run or support someone you trust to run as an independent and take some of that power for some period of time and then get out before you or someone you trust becomes corrupt too over time. So I feel, especially in the age of AI and robotics, we're pretty soon, and let's say it's a debate whether it's 5 years or it's 20 years, but it's somewhere in between those times. Nothing you can do with your mind or nothing we can do with your arms and legs, manual labor, intellectual labor, a machine is going to be able to do it better than you, probably, right? So that leaves you with what? Well, to do. Well, one of the most important things you can do is to make sure that those machines, the rules are set up in such a way that those machines and that intelligence and everything else is serving humanity and not the other way around.
Amen.
If you get to a point where you have, this super intelligent thing that is seeking that benefits from you being sick, makes profit, and if that's its end goal, and profits from you being sick rather than you being healthy, war rather than peace, you being scared and lonely and whatever else, that is a dystopic future versus the other way around. Whereas if the rules are such where all the gains that are coming from this amazing stuff, all the manual, menial labor, intellectual and otherwise, that's being done by these machines, the benefits accrue to humans and the humanity as a whole, wow, we would be in a pretty nice place. And how is that the rules going to get set? It's through democracy or it's through violence, and so we are on the side of democracy, and so you or someone you need to either run or support someone who's going to be putting humans first. And I think that's the independent movement in a nutshell.
This podcast is sponsored by ExpressVPN. A few decades ago, private citizens used to be largely that private. What's changed? The internet. Think about everything you've browsed, searched for, watched, or tweeted. Now imagine all of that data being crawled through, collected, and aggregated by third parties into a permanent public record, your record. Having your private life exposed for others to see was once something only celebrities worried about. But in an era where everyone is online, everyone is a public figure. To keep my data private when I go online, I turn to ExpressVPN. Do you know there are hundreds of data brokers out there whose sole business is to buy and sell our data? The worst part is you don't know what they're doing, you don't get to have your say. That's why I use ExpressVPN. Just hit one button and then your internet connection gets rerouted through an encrypted server. No one can see your IP address. You're completely in your own private internet. Every time I turn ExpressVPN on, I'm given a random IP address shared by other ExpressVPN customers. That makes it harder for third parties to track me and harvest my data. No matter what device you're on, you just hit one button and you get your own protected connection. So if, like me, you believe that your data is your business, secure yourself with the /1 rated VPN on the market. Visit expressvpn.com/yang and get 3 extra months for free. That's expressvpn.com/yang. Go to expressvpn.com/yang to learn more. Amen, man. Humanity first was my freaking slogan in 2020. We got to try and humanize this economy because the tech is getting much, much smarter and faster, and we are not. You and I are at an age where we're lucky to stay the same.
We will not keep up with
Like, we don't decline in a given day. It was a good day.
it.
Well, Farhad, you and I are comrades in arms in battle to build a better future for people. I tell people that we're going to trend towards either Star Trek or Mad Max, utopia or dystopia, and like we need to work towards the good result. You and I shared a little bit of time at TED this past month. You gave a phenomenal TED talk about your dual existence, I suppose, as an
Yeah,
Iranian
free
American,
range
but how
Iranian.
that they're but that they're actually very much in sync in ways that people don't understand. You've been involved with TED for a long time. It sounds like you've been going at least since 2013 when you and Lawrence hatched various plans to save democracy. I'd urge anyone, if you want to see Farhad's TED talk, it was tremendous, and it would let you get some insight not only to Farhad, but I think about human nature a little bit. I've been to TED a grand total of 2 times, including this last time. Though I will say, after this last time, I was like, I have to spend more time there.
Yeah, I think I've been going since 2007, and it's one of the places, one of the organizations that I truly believe in and support. Their mission used to be ideas worth spreading. Now this year they changed it to ideas change everything. I do believe that that's increasingly the case. I mean, for entrepreneurs, that's always kind of been the thing. And you have an idea and you want to change the world. But if you think about the capabilities that are at our foot, that are at our fingertips with AI, robotics, with the infrastructure, cloud, and other kinds of tools that are out there, it's like the membrane between idea and manifestation in reality. That membrane is becoming more and more permeable, and what that means is that good ideas and bad ideas, but good ideas that can actually have legs can actually get going really fast and get out there and spread. An example was that Flipagram, 6 days after we launched Flipagram, which was basically taking photos, video, and adding music to it in a very simple way, took off, and we were the #1 app in the world, in the US, and then within 3 months we were #1 in 87 countries. So it's like an amazing pace, and this was 2014. Sorry, this is things are moving. How fast did ChatGPT take off and take over? So we're at the place where these ideas can manifest really quickly. So it's really important to get all these all these idea people. TED does that a pretty good job of it, sharing the ideas that matter and getting them out there. And I think it's important for people to jump onto ideas that they think are useful. I hope people through this podcast will think Good Party is something that's useful. Jump in, help us. It's open source, all of the stuff that we're doing. We're building for a sort of a future where abundance is going to be the thing that we have to be worried about, not scarcity. But our systems and our rules and everything else are all still geared towards scarcity based, fight, flight, zero sum game type things. So we need people building, we need great ideas. TED is a great place to start with those ideas, and it's a good place to kind of co-conspirators and things. But I feel like anyone who's listening to your podcast, anyone who's interested in democracy reform, we are an incubator of those ideas. There's more things for us on our backlog of things that we want to do than we have resources right now to do. So the more people can join this movement, either from just run for office, support people who are running for office, or join in some way or other, help with us building our technology that helps the others run for office. It's going to be a big win for humanity, I feel.
Well, if we do get to a future of abundance, my friend, I think you're going to have a huge hand in that. And certainly there are some techies listening to my podcast, and some of them are like, Good Party, eh? Build tools for wholesome, independent candidates. That's a very appealing mission. If someone wants to find out more about Good Party or follow you personally, Farhad, how can they best do so?
Goodparty.org is our website, and me personally, I'm Farhad667 on Twitter, on X. That's probably the best place. But I'm not. You can find me at Good Party, Farhad at Good Party. That's probably the best place to find me. I'm working on that. I'm not talking too much, except for when I get invited to something at yours.
Well, I appreciate that, and it is true, people. Farhad's a builder, and he just wakes up every day trying to build tools to make the world a better place. Farhad, Good Party, Forward Party, together. Hopefully, we can actually get us to a future where people can enjoy the bounty of some of these technological tools as opposed to having them turn us against each other. And you were ahead of me in many respects, my friend. You figured out a lot of the stuff before I did.
No. You're the person who actually pointed me in the right direction, like at the bottom up approach. What is the correct one? I feel like there's a whole bunch of skills different people bring to the game. I have certain pieces of it that I'm throwing into that thing, but your ability to kind of crystallize it was I've been at a TED as well, where you so many people came up to me afterwards and said, "Wow, you got to talk to Andrew Yang because of what he said. Did you see that? That's aligned with what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So your ability to kind of crystallize and sort of simplify the problem and get it across to people is an incredible aid to all of us in the trenches who are building things that are not, it's not necessarily as easy or glamorous to talk about, but are necessary as well. So I think there's a lot of different people doing different things here. I think that Good Party is in a sort of a white space, and very necessary white space, where we're filling out the tools kind of aspect of this and technology. To note, importantly, this is the first year that the majority of the voters in America are going to be digital natives, people born after 1984. Yeah. And that means the majority of voters are younger and digitally savvy. So not to have digital tools that help them do the things in this particular area, which we both agree it's going to be so important, that is a white space that we're working on. So and the Good Party is trying to do the work there. I think hopefully the uptake, all of them are independent minded, but a lot of young people are apathetic, rationally so. They're not participating. So we have to get the word out to these folks, and your evangelism is really good. I think our logo, by the way, I don't know.
Oh yeah, show me your logo.
It's the red, lovely, bright, and blue. We've removed actually Good Party off of our site because we think Good Party is a destination. We're not a political party. So our URL is Good Party. That's where you want to go. We want a Good Party for all. But our logo, this red, bright, and blue heart, looking for a few bright, caring Americans, is I feel there's an opportunity there as well to kind of evangelize the movement of people who are not apathetic in the sense that they're not doing anything, and they're not pathetic in the sense that they're trying to do the same thing, lesser of two evils, and hope that something great happens. That middle, caring, bright, caring Americans, because the red, at the end of the day, red has an elephant, and the blue has a jackass as their logo, and we feel like a heart, a bright, caring heart like this should be something that people fly the flag of and say, hey, I'm a bright, caring American. I want to be part of this thing. And as many people as can do that would be great. It was nice seeing all the TED folks putting this on their badges, putting our stickers on their badges. But I think we need 1 million people out there. And I think people like yourself are the ones who are going to get the word out and get them doing that, to at least signal to each other that there's more of us than there are of the apathetic of the lesser of two evil types who are just sort of wasting their votes. And I think once we figure that out, and once we show that this year we're going to get 1,000 wins, that's what our goal is.
Let's go.
Good Party with Forward and others can get 1,000 independent wins. We are on the map, and off to the races. So 1,000, 10,000, 50,000. That's the goal for 26, 28. Let's go.
Farhad, if there's a utopian Avengers, you're definitely front and center. I think maybe you're Tony Stark. I'm perhaps the Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, they're filming the movie, and they're going to be stars in that movie. I think I'm one of the people who are sort of making the equipment back there, making sure the special effects don't burn anybody and get those Avengers looking hot and good. So I don't need to be in the camera in the camera lens to be satisfied. I feel like the tools to change the rules and disrupt the corrupt is a fine place for my persona to live. I'm happy to do that.
Well, very glad you're there doing what you're doing, Farhad. You give me hope. My job in some ways is to point the way and uplift others. And you uplift me, really. Anytime I've spoken to you, I've come away feeling better about our future. And I hope people feel the same way after getting to know you a little bit better. So check him out, check Good Party out, and let's win some more of these 1,000 races in November. No time to waste.
Let's do it. Go on down. Thank you so much, Andrew.